Implementing network load balancing. Now network load balancing is a cluster, NLB cluster. Now what is NLB cluster? What is NLB? Network load balancing. So first, it is a scalable high availability technology. Again, it is a high availability technology, just like the failover cluster. This is same. It is also a cluster of different nodes. We combine multiple nodes to create a single to handle the single service or application, and it is called network load balancing cluster. Now it balances the traffic based on node utilization. It balances the balance the load based on the node utilization. That means if the node is we have multiple nodes, so it will utilize the all nodes. New traffic is directed to the node that is being utilized the least. So it in failover cluster, what happened? Only one node will be running, and the other node will remain in standby. If one node goes down, then the other node will take over. But here it is a load balancing cluster, so where all the cluster nodes are ready to take the traffic. So if the suppose new traffic comes, so it will be redirected to the node which is not used. It is not which is least utilized, so that it will balance the load. That means if one node is getting too much load, so it is not able to handle the load, then it will redirect the load to the node which is not utilizing. Now you can configure NLB to preference some nodes over the others. That means if suppose we configure the cluster in cluster, we are having a node which is powerful than the other nodes, then we can do configure the preference of that node, that always traffic will go to that node, and if that node is not able to handle the traffic, then the traffic will move to the redirected to the other node. Then use with stateless applications such as web tiers of multi-layer applications. Now this load balancing cluster is basically for the stateless application, which is actually web-based application. So most of the web-based services are these NLB is configured for the web-based services, and it is also failure aware. Now not only it will give you the load balancing, it will also give you failover also. That means because it is a failure aware, so it is failure aware, that means it will give you the failover also. So when one server goes down, then it will services will still be available from the other server. Then do not use with the stateful applications such as traditional file servers or database servers. Now this is not for the traditional stateful applications, it is basically for the stateless web-based applications. So very simple how NLB works. So when the traffic comes, it says, now suppose this client says who is going to accept me, and these are the clusters which is these are the nodes which we have used to configure the cluster. We have 1 2 3 4 clusters. Now remember, in the cluster every node they have their own IP address. For example, this is the dedicated IP address for this particular node. It is a 10.1.1.2. Then other node has 10.1.1.3, 10.1.1.4, 10.1.1.5. But all these nodes have their own they have the virtual IP, and you can see the IP is same. That means this is the IP which is used which the client uses to connect, because client don't have to go to a particular node, it will go to the cluster IP, and this virtual IP will be the cluster IP. So if client want to access the services, so they will access this virtual IP, and this virtual IP is the cluster IP. So cluster will decide that who and which node is going to have the traffic. So it is decided by the cluster itself, and the client will send the traffic to this virtual IP, and that IP will be same for the all nodes. Now the traffic will go to these nodes, and based on the cluster preference, they will accept the request and send the reply. Now if some server is not able to accept the request, suppose this server is having a preference and this server is not able to handle the traffic, it is utilized, then the traffic will go to the other server which is not utilized. And if suppose this server is also having a lots of load, then the traffic will go to the next server, and if this server is not utilized fully, then it will accept the request and send the reply. So this is how the cluster works, this network load balancing cluster works. At the same time, all the nodes are active, and the node which is not utilized properly, fully, that node will reply in case if the request is coming. So it is replied by a particular host which is not utilized properly. Now we can configure the preference also. If suppose one of the server is more powerful than the other servers, then we can redirect the traffic to that particular server. Then how NLB works with the server failure and recovery. Now NLB cluster heartbeat transmits every second between node in a cluster. So all the clusters node we have in the cluster, they will share the heartbeat. They will share the heartbeat request within every second between nodes. Then conversion occurs when, now convergence means when the service goes down, then when service comes back. So the time between this going down and coming up, it is called convergence. So convergence occurs, suppose when the service when the server fails, then the other server will take over. So when convergence occurs, a node a node misses 5 consecutive heartbeats, at which time it is automatically removed from an NLB cluster. That means if the node misses 5 consecutive heartbeat requests, then it will be considered as a dead, and it will automatically remove from the NLB cluster. And node that was member of a cluster returns functionality. That means the node that was member of the cluster returns to functionality, and an administrator adds or remove a node manually. So if one node misses the heartbeat request, like 5 continuous heartbeat request, then it will be removed. And also a node that was member of a cluster returns to a functionality. That means when the the node was the member but it was removed, or it was misses the heartbeat and it was removed automatically, or whether it is removed by the administrator, then after some time when it comes back into the cluster, so then the services will converge, and then an administrator can also add or remove the nodes manually. So these are the options, these are the ways, or these are the points where the cluster do convergence. Now NLB features in Windows 2016 server. Use 35 NLB Windows PowerShell commandlet to manage all aspects of NLB configurations. So we can use the PowerShell commandlet also to manage the all aspects of the NLB cluster configuration in this server 2016. We can use this command NLB cluster noun to manage the cluster, and use the NLB cluster node noun to manage the individual node. So if you want to manage the cluster from the PowerShell, then we can use this to manage the whole cluster, NLB cluster, and for particular node we can use NLB cluster node. Then other NLB features are like does not require any hardware changes. That means we don't have to change any hardware configuration, does not require any application software changes, and also host can be part of multiple clusters. Then also one host can also be part of the other clusters, and can add and remove host without affecting the rest of the cluster. Now if you have seen failover cluster, that requires a lots of hardware requirements also. Like you have to configure the network properly, you have to configure the storage, shared storage, and all the other things. If you are configuring fiber channel, so it requires a hardware changes, lots of hardware changes. Here we don't have to do these changes here. and we can it does not require any application software changes also. Then also we can this one cluster node, one node can be a member of other cluster also. It can take a part of the other clusters, and it can also remove and add without affecting the rest of the cluster. So we can anytime remove or add the cluster nodes because all the clusters are running, so it will not affect our cluster services. Then deploying the deployment requirement for NLB cluster. What are the deployment requirements we have for NLB? So first, ensure that all hosts are on the same subnet. So first, all the hosts which we are wanted to use in the cluster in the NLB, they must be in the same subnet. Then configure all adapters as either unicast or multicast. Now when we configure the NLB cluster, then we get the option to choose whether you want to select unicast or multicast. There is one more option there. When we have the option unicast or multicast to choose, we have one more option, that is IGMP multicast also. We will see that when we configure it. Then use only the TCP IP protocol on adapters. So it will use only TCP IP protocol works. Then configure all adapters that you use in NLB with static IP addresses. So when we configure the NLB, so we have to have the static IP address. Dynamic IP addresses will not be supported. Now for deploying the NLB cluster, it is app feature in Windows Server 2016. It is a feature, so we can install it from here. From the roles and features, we can install this network load balancing cluster. So first we have to install the role, install this feature into all the nodes which we want to use in the cluster. So in all the nodes we will install this network load balancing feature. Now this feature will come with the management tool also. So we can manage the cluster from the cluster node itself, or also we can manage the cluster from the other server also. So it will install the cluster node. This will first we have to do what? We have to install the feature in all the cluster nodes. Now for configuring the cluster, now I have three servers: server 1, server 2, server 3. So server 1 is our domain controller. It is having an Active Directory services installed. So I will not use this server for my cluster node. So I have server 2 and server 3. So I'm going to use those server 2 and server 3 for the cluster node. So on server 2 and server 3, I'm going to install the feature, network load balancing feature. Now for configuring the NLB, we don't have to have the special kind of configuration for the software or hardware. So we don't have to have another adapter also. So we can use it on the same network and same adapter. But only one thing, like we should have all the nodes in the same subnet. So this is our subnet 192.168.0.0. So our all hosts are in the same subnet. So I will go to install these feature into both servers, server 2 and server 3 now. Now this is my server 2. This is my server 2, and now here we have the same network IP and we have the single adapter. It works. Now here I am going to install the feature first. So I will go to manage, add and roll features, then I will go to install the feature. Next, 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 and under the features we have network load balancing. So if I go down, so here we have network load balancing, and here I will select this. Now when you select this, it is going to install the role for the administration tools also. So we can administrator, we can manage the cluster. And what it do here? Network load balancing distributes the traffic across several servers using the TCP/IP networking protocol. And NLB is particularly useful for ensuring that stateless applications such as web servers running internet information services are scalable by adding additional servers as the load increases. So I know what I am doing, so I'll go on to install this. restart if needed, and then I will select to install. And it is starting the installation. It will take a little time. Now the feature is installed here. So what we will do now, we'll go to server 3 and install the same NLB feature. So this is my server 3, and now I'm going to install the feature here also. Add and remove roles and features. So go to next, and next on server 3, and I want to install NLB. This is roles. So under the features, I will select NLB. And install. This will take a little time. Okay, so this one is also installed. Now after installation, what we will get, the feature will be installed, and we get this NLB manager, network load balancing manager. From here we can manage the network load balancing cluster. Now this feature, this tool, management console, is available on the server 2 and server 3 both, where we install this NLB cluster feature. Now we can manage the whole cluster from any server. Like we can manage it from server 3, we can manage it from server 2 also. But it is recommended to manage it from the third server. It is recommended to manage it from third server if we choose those options. When we create the cluster, we get the option to choose like unicast or multicast. So there is a problem with the unicast. So we can choose to configure the cluster from the other server also. Like we can configure it from any other server which is not the part of the cluster. But we can configure it from any of the server, either from server 3 or server 2. So because just like server 3, we have this network load balancing manager also available in server 2. Now we try to configure now. So first I will open this. There is no cluster configured. If you open, there is no cluster configured here. So first we have to do what? We have to create a cluster. So I will right click here and I will configure new cluster. If suppose the cluster is already configured, so we can select to connect the existing cluster. Now I want to configure the new cluster, so I will select new, and here I have to give the name of the host which I want to add into the cluster. So first I am going to add server 2 here, because I am configuring it from server 2. So I will mention the server 2 here and I will say connect. Now when I connect it, it shows that in server 2 we have only one network adapter, and in that network adapter we have this IP address. Now if we have multiple network adapters, so we will see all the adapters here, and we have to decide that which adapter we want to use for the cluster. So if you have multiple adapters on the server, then you have to choose that which adapter you want it for the cluster. Right now we have only one adapter available for the server on server 2. Now I will go press next here. Now here first we have to decide the priority preference. By default it is giving 1 here. The next server will get the 2 which we add, then the next server will get 3. But if we want to add this server a different priority, then we can choose it from here. So this is to add the priority. It will get the priority by default one by one, like 1, 2, 3. So as we start adding the servers, so we can get the priority based on the servers we add. And how much priority we have? We have 32. 1 from 32. Now this is the network adapter we have, and that adapter has this IP. So it is saying this is the dedicated IP address for this server. So you want to have this IP address, or you want to add any other IP address. So you can add other IP address also for this server for the dedicated IP address, as we can add multiple IP addresses on the single interface. Where I will go with this single IP address, and this IP address will be dedicated for this server in the node, this node server in the cluster. So if I want to connect this node, so I will use this IP address. Then we have option here to initiate the host status. So right now when we initiate the host, so what should be the state? So default state is started. That means when we configure the server, node into the cluster, so what it is going to do, it is going to be started. If suppose you don't want to start until all the cluster nodes are added, so you can select here to stop or suspended. Then when all the clusters node are added here, like if you have 2 nodes, 3 nodes, 4 nodes, when all the nodes will be added, then you can start those cluster nodes. Otherwise you can just select to start. When you select to start it, then it will right now, as soon as we add this cluster, configure the cluster node, it will start working. It will not wait for the other nodes to be added. So I will go with this default. Then also there is one more option here. It says retain the suspended state after computer restarts. That means if the node restarts, the node which is in the cluster, and when the node restarts, then what to do? So if I select this, then it will do what? It will remain suspended until we start the server, until we start the node. That means we start the cluster service into it. So if we select this, then whenever our main server, whenever our node, this node will restart, server 2 will restart, then the server, this cluster service will be suspended. It will remain suspended state until we right click and restart it. If I don't select this, which is the default one, then whenever the server restarts, the service will also restart. So if you like, then you can select this. Then I will go next. I'm not selecting it. Now here we have to decide the cluster IP. The cluster IP, which is the virtual IP for the cluster. So any client who wants to access the cluster, they will access the cluster by using this IP address. So we can add IP address here for the cluster. So I will select this, and now I have option to add IP address. Now I can add IPv4 and I can add IPv6 also. So I will add the IP address, and remember the network and the subnet you are having. So you can use the same subnet IP here. So I am going to use one of the IP from the subnet 192.168.0. I will give 250 here, and this will be my subnet mask. If you like, then you can go for the IPv6 address also, and I will say OK. So this is my IP address, this is my cluster IP address. That means if anyone wants to access the services of cluster, then they will access through this IP, because client don't have to access every client on the every node in the cluster. They don't have to know that how many nodes we have. They will know only this IP address. So when the services move from one node to other node, client will never notice it, because they are accessing the node, they are accessing the services from this IP address. This is the single IP address which is used to access the cluster node, cluster services. After deciding the IP address, we will go next, and also we can add more IP addresses if we like. Like if suppose we want to configure multiple services on the cluster, like I want to configure web services, I want to configure FTP services. So I can have 2 different IP addresses for different services. Okay, I will use one. Next. Now here, this is the IP address we have configured. Now we can decide the name for our cluster, our NLB cluster. Now this name is going to be registered in the DNS also, so that if anyone wants to access our cluster with the name, then it can access from here. It can access by this name. So I will give the name like NLB1 here. So this is my name for this NLB cluster, NLB1, and this is the IP address I am using. So if you have multiple if you have added multiple IP addresses, then you can see here for the cluster. and you can add different name for the different IP addresses. Now here we have the option for the cluster operation mode. We have unicast, we have multicast, and we also have IGMP multicast. So these three options we have for operational mode for the cluster. Now see what happens when we select unicast. Now remember, every IP address must need a MAC address. This is your physical address. Because in the LAN network, all the communication done based on the MAC address. So this will be the virtual MAC address for this virtual IP. This is the virtual name, this is the IP, and this will be the MAC address. So when anyone wants to access this IP, so they will get this MAC address. So they can access through this MAC address. Now remember, in LAN network, the communication happens based on the MAC address. Because switches which we use to connect the devices does not understand the IP addresses. They understand only MAC address. So when we send the request for this, we want to send the data or request or anything to this IP address, then first our machine needs to have a MAC address for that machine. Remember the OSI layer, when the data goes out from your client machine for this IP address, so when it reaches the data link layer, then it needs the MAC address of this IP address to be added into the packet. Otherwise it will not send the packet. So it needs the destination MAC address also. For this IP, it needs the MAC address. So this is the MAC address, virtual MAC address will be for this IP address. Now you see, when I select the operational mode unicast, it shows this MAC address. Now if I change it to multicast, the MAC address also changes here. You can see here it was 02, now here it was 03, because it is a multicast MAC address. Now in this case, now when we choose this unicast and what it do, and when we choose multicast and what it do. Now when you choose unicast, it is unicast, that means it will be remain one-to-one communication. Now in this case, you can only access this cluster IP address, and you cannot access those cluster nodes inside the cluster. So if suppose we are having multiple cluster nodes here, so we cannot access the cluster nodes itself. We can only access the cluster itself. That means, now for example here, if you see, we have three nodes here, 1, 2, 3, and suppose this first node IP is 192.168.1.0.1, this is 0.2, this is 0.3. So this is the IP for this dedicated IP for these cluster nodes, and when we configure the cluster, so we use this IP address as a virtual IP address, 100, 192.168.0.100. Now they are connected to the same subnet, that means they are connected to the same switches, and also the user is also there into the same subnet. Now what happened when the user wants to access these these cluster services? So the user will not access these cluster nodes itself. They will not give this IP address like 192.168.0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3. The users will use this IP address. It will use 192.168.0.100 to access any services hosted by these cluster nodes. Now when the client sends the request, now for sending the request, client needs the MAC address. So the MAC address will be virtual for this IP address. So when the client sends the request for this IP address, cluster IP address, so it will get the reply of the virtual MAC address that this MAC address is for this IP address. Now who will respond with this IP address, MAC address? These cluster nodes. Suppose if the request goes to this server, so this server will say, okay, this IP is my IP and this is the MAC address of my machine, and this reply will go to the switch, and then from the switch it will go to the user, and then user send the request to this MAC address and IP, and this server will respond. Now this node, it is not replying on this its own IP address, it is actually replying on this cluster IP address. Same as for other servers. If this server is not able to handle the traffic, then the request goes to the other server, and this other server says, okay, this 100 IP is mine, This is my IP and this is my MAC address. The same MAC address, virtual MAC address. And same as for this also. Now these all three machines are not responding with their own IP addresses. They are responding with this cluster IP addresses. So they all respond with this cluster IP address. So any request come to them for this IP, they will say that this is my IP address. Now if you select the unicast, mode, then what happened? They only respond to this this cluster IP address. They will not respond when we request for their own IP address. Now for example, here the administrator is sitting on the other machine and it wants to configure something on that server, in this server. So when it sends the request, so what it will send? It will send the request for this IP address. Which IP address? Not cluster IP address. It will send the request for this IP address. But if you select the unicast mode, then the server will not respond for this IP address. It will only respond for this cluster IP address. So the administrator cannot access this server remotely. If it wants to configure anything, then it has to go to physically log into this server itself, then it can configure anything. So in unicast mode, all the nodes in the cluster will not respond to their own IP address. They will respond only to the cluster IP address. Now in case if we select the multicast mode, then what it will do? All the nodes will respond for the cluster IP address and also they will respond for their own IP address. So if we send request for the cluster, this cluster node, this administrator send the request for configuring or accessing this server for this IP address, this node IP address, then it will respond to this IP address and it will give the request. It will reply and it will give the access to the server when we are using the multicast mode. So in unicast, they will only reply on the multicast, this cluster IP, their own IP they will not respond, and in multicast mode they can respond on their own IP address also. Also on multicast this cluster IP and also on their own IP. So basically we use this unicast mode when we have multiple adapters in the nodes. So we can leave one, we can dedicate one node for the cluster. So it will use the only node, this adapter for the cluster, and the next adapter we can use to connect the cluster node itself for managing. So we can use another adapter for managing and connecting the cluster, the node itself, and for the cluster we can use this dedicated adapter. We can do that when we have the multiple adapters. Now if we don't have multiple adapters, then we can use multicast mode. So in multicast mode, what it will do, we can use a single adapter for the cluster also, and the same adapter we can use to connect the nodes also, because they will respond with this node also. Now the third mode is IGMP multicast. Now that IGMP multicast is to increase the performance of the cluster because of this switch. Now remember, this switch is doing what? Connecting all these clients and nodes of the cluster. Now what happened, whenever any request comes or any packet comes, switch do what? It updates the MAC address on the port. Switch does not understand the IP addresses. So what it do here, it updates the MAC address table every time when it is coming any packet. So when the request come from here, from this client, so it will add this client MAC address on this port where the client is connected. Now the reply is for this cluster IP, and cluster IP is having their own virtual MAC address. So for example, this first server is replying. So the request goes to this server and this server reply with that MAC address. It says this cluster IP is my IP and this MAC address is my MAC address. Now that MAC address will be updated on this port of switch. Now suddenly other client accesses the other client is sending the request here for the cluster services, and this node is not able to handle the traffic. So traffic will go to the other server. Now this server says, okay, this is my IP address and this is my MAC address. Now the reply goes through the switch. Now switch what do? Switch will see the same MAC address on other port also. That means the same MAC address is updated on this port, and now the MAC address is coming from this port. Now this switch will make this will make the switch confused, because some packets are coming from here with the same MAC address, and some packets are coming from this port with the same MAC addresses, and also from this port, from the other port also they are having same MAC addresses. Now in this case switch get confused, because the MAC address is switching from one port to other port very quickly, because the lots of packets are coming and going, so it switches from one port to other port. Switch will handle this, but it will take some time, so it will make slow. It will make the network slow. Switch can handle this thing, but it will make the switch slow. But this IGMP will do what? IGMP multicast mode. In this mode, the switch will use properly. In this mode, the switch knows about this, that the cluster is configured here, and this IP is a virtual IP, and this MAC address is a virtual MAC address. Now for choosing this IGMP multicast mode, it will increase the performance of our cluster, but for choosing this, we have to have a proper hardware also, that is the proper switch which can support this IGMP multicast mode. That means we need to configure the switch also for supporting this IGMP multicast mode. So for configuring this IGMP mode, we need a switch also which understand and configure, which is configurable for this IGMP multicast mode. So when you select this mode, it will show you the message, it will show you the warning message that you need to contact the administrator about this, because you need a dedicated switch for it. So these are the three modes, operational modes we have, and how this works. Multicast do what? In the multicast mode, the nodes of the cluster will only respond for the cluster IP, they will not respond for their own IP. It is useful when you have multiple adapter available for the nodes. Then we can use multicast mode, where the nodes will respond to their own IP address and also for the cluster IP address. This is helpful when you are having single adapter on every node. Then also we can use the IGMP multicast, which will help to perform good. The cluster performance will increase, because it support it do what it use the supported switch also, which can handle the traffic better. Now for this mode we need a supported switch also. So when you select this, it will give you this warning. So we can select unicast, multicast. Now we are having only one adapter, so I will go for multicast. But you see here IGMP multicast, and see what happened when I select this. It says, before you enable IGMP support, consult online help regarding the network implication of using this feature, because it needs a supported switch also. So it will increase the performance. So I will not choose this, I will go for multicast, because I am having only one network adapter. Okay. Now after this, we are having here some port rules. Now this is the default port rules, so we can add more rules, we can edit the existing rule, but I'm not going to edit this or add one more rule. We will do it later. First we will just create the cluster and add this node. So here we are done, so I will say finish, and now we have added this node here. This is the cluster we have added, and this is the node we have added into the cluster, and it is initializing the node here, and it is saying here that waiting for the pending operation 2. And now the configuration is configuration changes is end here. Update to succeeded, double click to detail. So we can see by pressing the double click. Now we can see here, this is our cluster, and what it is saying, this is the node we have, status is converged. It is already converged now. This is the dedicated IP for that node. This is the host priority, and it is already started. Initial state is started, which is we selected. When we select the host, we can see that this is the all IP addresses are used, enable, it is enabled. This is the actually port rule which is configured for this host. Now the cluster is started, but there is only one host we have added. So now we will add the other host. So for adding the other host, I will right click on the cluster and then I will select add host to the cluster. Now it will open the same wizard. Here we will add server 3 now. Now it says it is connected, and there is also one adapter available which is having this IP address. So with this adapter, with this IP address, we are going to add server 3. Next, now it is already selecting, by default it is selecting this priority 2 because 1 is already selected. Then this is the IP address, this is the dedicated IP address to connect this particular host. Then initial state, we can see again started, stop or suspended, whatever we want. We can select this also. Now you see the other options like the cluster IP address and the unicast multicast option. It is not asking us to select that because that is already selected. The cluster is already there, the name and IP address is already selected, and the mode for the operation is already selected. The port rule is already selected here, and there is no option to add here because it is already there. We can only edit this. So we cannot add new role because it is not the cluster, it is only the node we are adding. Now I will say finish here. And now it is pending, it is converging, it is starting the services, and after some time it will start working. Now this one is also converged and this is also started. Priority 2. Now how it works? So it works for the web-based services. So for testing this, what I will do, I will configure the web services on both the servers and we'll see how it works. So for that, what I will do, I will install the web services role in both the server 2 and server 3. So this is first server 2. So I will add the web services role first. Web server IIS. And if I need, I can add FTP also. Same thing I will do for server 3 also. So on server 3 also I will add roles. And it will take a little time to install. Okay, it is installed here on server 3 and also it is installed on server 2. So here on server 2 also it is installed. Now what I will do, I will configure my web services first so that I can use this web services on cluster. It is already on the cluster, the cluster is already running. So whatever the services we configure on both the servers, it is going to be used in the cluster. So first I will do what? I will configure my web services here. I will do what? If I try to access this web services, let me show this. Now I am on server 1 here. I will try to access the services from server 2 and server 3. So for that, what I will do, I will give here name, like I will give the IP address 192.168.0.201. This is the server 2 and this web page is coming from server 2. It is coming from server 201. I will open one more tab and here I will also access 192.168.0.202. Now this IP is from server 3. Now this is also showing the same web page. Now we can able to access both the servers individually because we have selected what multicast mode. So because of the multicast mode, they are responding with their own IP addresses also. Now I will try to access the cluster IP address. And the cluster IP address is 250. And still I can see what? The same web services. So we are accessing the web services through the cluster, and also we can access the cluster nodes itself, server 3 and server 2 both. Now we are not seeing the difference because this is the default web page. So what I will do, I will configure the page to see the difference. So I will go to server 2 first. So web services do what? They use the web directory here. It is having the web database directory under the C drive. Under the C drive, under the inet pub, we have this web root directory. So all the web directory, all the pages we want to have for our website, it should be loaded here. Right now there is only one page, that is the default page. So it is showing this page, and it shows this when we don't have any when we don't have any our website home page or anything. If you don't have any website data, then it will show you this page. So to create the website, we have to put all the website data into here, and our home page file must be named as index.html. So I will create the home page file here. I will use a simple coding here to see. For example, HTML open, then title, this is test site, title close, head open, and it will be in center, and this is my test site. I will close this, center, and head also. Then I will add the body, and this I will add for the color. I will add one color also, like this will be green, which is going to be centered, and I will say this is coming from, this is server 2, server2.sci.com, and then close, center, close body, and close HTML. One more thing I will add here, this will be H1. Okay, so what I did, I just created one page here, a simple page, and what I did here, I saved it with index.html name. Index.html, how you will do that? You will go to file, select save as, here you will select all files, and then you will select here index.html. You will give the name index.html here, .html. Now our web servers, IIS web server, accept this page index name, index.html name as a home page. So when you are having a home page of your web services, web data, then you will name that file as a index.html. It will take it as a home page. So this is the page I created here for server 2, and I saved it here under this web root directory, www root directory. This is the home directory for the this is the database directory for the IIS web server. Now I will test this on server 1 where we are accessing this, and now here you will see the page which I created on server 2, and it is saying this my test size from server 2. Now if I go to server 3, still it is showing this default page. So if you don't have your document data, if you don't have your website data and don't have the home page file, it will always show you this default page. So what I will do, I will create the home page file on the server 3 also, so that we can understand that it is coming from server 2 or server 3. Same thing I will do here. I will open the notepad and add that coding. It was I copied from the server 2, so I will change it something like this is server 3, and the color I will change, background color. So this I will put here yellow, and then what I will do, I will go save as and saved under C drive, and this is the inet pub, and on this root directory, and here I will save it as a index.html. So name will be index.html. Now we'll go to server 1 and check. Now this is server 2, and this is from server 3. Now when I refresh, I can see this is saying it is from server 3. Now I did make changes here on server 2 and server 3. I changed the color and the text also. Why? Because we want to see the difference. But when we configure the services for the cluster, so what we do, we will not make any changes. We will put the same data on both the servers. So what happened, when the services switch from server 2 to 3, the user will not notice that the services are changing from server 2 to server 3. But for the testing purpose, what I did, I use the different color here, different text here, and different text here also, so that when we change, we will see. Now we will go to access the cluster. Now this is our cluster. Now we'll see cluster is giving the access from which host. It is giving from the access of server 2 or server 3. So when I refresh here, now we can see it is giving the access of from the server 2. Now why it is giving the services from server 2? Because the server 2 is having the priority number 1. So whenever I refresh this, it always gives me the reply from server 2. Server 3 reply will come when the server 2 is get overloaded, and it is get overloaded and it will not able to handle the request. Then the service this request will go to server 2 server 3. But right now we are not able to generate that traffic, so it will still remain, and it will still give me the access from server 2. So this is the cluster IP, this is the cluster which we are accessing, this is the IP address which we configured for the cluster. If we try to access it with the name, that name is NLB1. And we can still access it by the name, or we can access it from the IP address also. But the host also giving the reply. They are also giving the reply because we selected the multicast option. And right now the cluster is using the services from server 2, because the server 2 is having the priority number 1. So we can see here in our failover cluster, this server 2 is having the host priority as 1, and the server 3 is having the host priority number 2, and that is why server 2 is giving the reply. Now in case if the server 2 goes down, then it will move, the services will move from server 2 to server 3. Then the cluster will start responding from server 3. Or we can also redirect the preference. We can redirect the preference from one server to other server also. Now configuring the options for NLB. So first option we have for the port rules. We can determine the port rule, how the traffic, this port rule determine how the traffic is directed to cluster nodes depending on the TCP or UDP port. And to distribute the request across the node in the cluster, configure one of the following filtering modes, that is multi-host multiple host, single host, disable port range also. Then there is an affinity setting, determine how reconnection occurs, none, single or class C. So these are the options we have for managing the cluster and port rules. And for configuring that, we can see this is the window to manage the filtering mode and affinity setting. And also network consideration for NLV. We have seen the unicast, multicast and IGMP multicast. So when you select the unicast, this is suitable for the cluster that have multiple network adapters, and multicast suitable for NLV cluster that have single network adapters, and network device must support multicast MAC addresses also. Then IGMP multicast, it improves the switch performance but requires a network switch that support this functionality. So now what are the options we have for the cluster? If you right click on the cluster, then you can see the option to add more hosts. You have option to delete the cluster. You can check the properties of the cluster. You can refresh. You can remove from view, that means remove from this cluster manager. Then you can control the host. You can control the host by start, stop, drain stop, suspend or resume. You can control the ports also. And when you select control ports, you will see this option to manage the port, or you can manage you can enable, you can disable or drain all the port rules. Then for the host, when you right click on the host, you have option to delete the host. You can check the property status, and also you can control the host from here. We can do control the ports also. Now if you select the host, or first you will see the property of the cluster. You can see the property. This is the IP address of the cluster. You can add more IP address. This is the parameter of the cluster. We have choose the multicast option. We can choose unicast or IGMP also, IGMP multicast. And this is the port rule. This is the port rule for the cluster where we can change the port rule. Now by default, what is the port rule? And for this we have to tune the port rule first. So by default, when you see the default port rule, if you try to edit it, so this is the default port rule, and what it says here, it says for the all IP addresses of the cluster. Remember, for all the IP addresses of the cluster, that means if you have multiple IP addresses given to the cluster, then you can choose different port rule for different IP address, and all means for all the IP addresses. Now what is the rule saying? It is saying for TCP or UDP both. It is saying for the both. The rule is for both services, TCP and UDP, and it is for the 0. The range of the port is from the 0 to all the 65,535. Now what that means, this rule is configured for all the ports and for all the services of TCP and UDP. Now that means what? The port is, this rule is enabled. Now what happened by default? This is the default setting. Then what happened by default? All the requests for any port for TCP or UDP, for all the ports, the request will come, and these two servers of the cluster will try to respond it. That means it will make these servers very much overloaded, because by default it accepts the request for any port, because it is TCP UDP both and all the port from 0 to 65,535. So rule says accept the request for any services, whether it is TCP or UDP. Whenever request comes from the cluster, anyone try to send the request for the cluster for any service, accept it. Now this is not good, because we are not using this cluster for all the services. We are using for some specific services. So we should disable this. We should use only the services which we need. Now what I will do here, first to make it work properly, I will remove those I will say my well-known port numbers are from 1 to 1023. So what I will do, the rest of the port I will disable. So I will select the range from 1024 to 65,535. I don't want to accept, so I will say this rule must be disabled. So don't accept any request for these ports. This is the good idea to do. Now what I will do, I will add my own rule to accept the request from 1 to 1023. Now this is on you, like which port you want to enable this cluster, which port you want to accept the request on cluster. I am accepting for this, but you can reduce it more. You can only accept the request for some specific port. You can accept the request for only port 80. You can only accept the request for port number 21, that is for FTP, whatever. I am going to accept it for this and for both TCP and UDP. Then here you can select the filtering mode. Filtering mode, by default it is selected multiple host. Multiple host, that means it will do what? It will connect through all the multiple hosts. With the FNAT single. FNAT is for the reconnection. Now what that means? The multiple hosts, that means all the hosts will be used to do the load balancing. That means the request for this port will be handled by all the hosts, like server 2 and server 3 both, and they will accept the request and they will respond. Now in this case we have the FNAT option. Now FNAT option will decide how reconnection will occur. Reconnection, that means if suppose one client send the request for services and the request goes to server 2, then if suppose the services will disconnect and then again the client send the request for the same services to the cluster, so it will reconnect back to server 2. Again it will connect the server 2. That means if one time the client connects the server 2, then every time it will try to connect the server 2, and only in case the server 2 is not available or it is overloaded, then it will go to server 3, because we have selected multiple hosts. So whenever the client connects one host, it will always try to connect the same host. Why? Because the FNAT setting is saying single. Now single means it is going to try to select every time the same host which was selected previously. Now if I select FNAT none, then it will do what? It will not do select every time the same host. Then it will select any host. It can select any host anytime. If suppose the request goes to this server and it is not able to reply in time, then it will connect the other host. So FNAT will decide how it is going to reconnect. So if suppose first time the client is connected to server 2, so next time it will not try to connect same server, it can connect server 3 or 4 also. Now you can select network also. Now network, that means it will depend on the network, and in both cases you can see in single and network it shows this timeout option. So it will decide how much timeout. That means you select single host, so always the client will try to connect server 2, but if you say that in 1 minute, if suppose in 1 minute it is not replying server 2, then it will go to connect server 3. So in this and this also it will be available, but when you select none, there is no timeout. It can go anytime, anywhere. The request will handle by anytime, anywhere, any host. Now network means what? It depends on the client network, like what the network of the client. Like if the client network is in this subnet, then it will connect to that subnet. It depends on the subnet of network of the host, that which node it will forward the request. Or I can say none, it can go anywhere. Then if you select single host, then it will accept by the only one host. That request for this port, then it will be handled by only that single host based on the priority. And when it goes overloaded, then it will move to the other server. So I selected this. I selected multi-host and I selected none, and I'm accepting only the request for these ports. So default rule I have changed, and I disabled the ports which I don't want, and I enable only the ports which I want. Now what happened? And FNAT we have disabled. We have disabled the FNAT setting. We have set none. Now see what happens. Now it can request can be handled by any hosts, either server 1 or server 2 or server 3 both. Now they are converging and they will converge soon. So in this color, when you see this color, that means they are converging. So I don't want to wait, so I say start. I don't want to wait, so I will say start. Okay, now when you go to client and try to access it, so from the client side, this is our cluster, and when you try to refresh, now you see server 3 is responding. First time it was server 2, then it was server 3 now responding, because we disable the affinity setting. Now it will give you a redundancy also. Redundancy also, that means it will give you the failover also. That means if suppose one server fails, then the services will move to other server. Right now server 3 is working, the request is handling by the server 3 as we saw. Now if the server 3 is not available, then the request will available from server 2. I will do what? I will disable server 3 now. Now this is server 3, so instead of shutting down the server, I will just disable the network. I will right click and I say disable. Now we'll see who is responding. Now in the cluster, when I right click and refresh, you see the server 3 is now not available. Now we will check who is responding or responding from this request. So as we see, server 3 was responding based on the cluster IP, but now when I refresh, now you can see server 2 is responding now, because the server 3 is not available. And we can see server 3 is not available, so it is giving failover also. Like if one server is down, then other server will still give me the services. Now I will make the server 3 available. I will enable it. Then I will refresh this cluster, and now it is back. Server 3 is back. Now server 3 is back, but still who is handling the traffic? So from this client I will try to refresh, and now you see the server 3 is now again handling the traffic. Now we can redirect the traffic to some particular host also, based on the host. Like if the host is powerful, they're enough powerful, more powerful than the other servers, then we can redirect the traffic to that particular server. For example, we say the server 2 is more powerful than server 3, so I want that the server 2 must handle more requests, more traffic, so I can do that also. And for that I can do it from here. Now when you go to this property of the cluster and the port rules, when you go to this port rules, so you will not see that option here. You will see the option when you go to the port rules of host. When you select the host and you see these port rules here on both the host, so when you select one of this is the port rule, and if I want to edit the port rule from here, I will go to the host property, and here I will go to the port rules. Now this is the port rule. We can't add the rule here, but we can edit the existing rule. Now what we can edit here is this option, the load. So when I select this rule is disabled, this is enabled, edit. Now we can't change any of these settings, because these settings are set by the cluster, set on the cluster, but this option is not available from the cluster. This option is only available here. Now what it is saying, the load weight. Load weight is by default set to equal. That means all the node of the cluster will handle the traffic equally. But when we see like one server is more powerful than the other server, for example this is server 2, and I feel the server 2 is more powerful than the other server. Right now the services, the traffic is handled by server 3. So I will say I will remove this equal, and I can add the weight here. So for example our server 2 is more powerful, then I say this must handle the traffic of 90%. Then server 3, I want this server to handle the traffic of not equal. Now I gave 90 to the other server, so how much here I can give? 10? No, exactly, it is actually not like that. Like, it is not 100% dividation, it is like percentage. So you can have, suppose, 3 servers, so you can give 90% traffic to one server, 80% traffic to other server, 70% weight to other server. It is just a load weight, so it is not like dividing 100% into multiple. So I can give here like 60% also. So 60% weight for this server and 90% weight for this server. So always this server will handle the traffic first. Now previously server 3 was handling, now server 2 will handle the traffic. So when we are requesting for the cluster, server 3 was responding. Now when I refresh, it is going to be server 2, but I think I have given lots of weight to server 3 also. Let me reduce that. I will put 20 here. And now you see server 2 is sending the handling the request, because now it is having more load weight. So server 2 will handle the request, more request, and if it is not able to handle, then the next server will handle the load. So this is how we can manage the load balancing cluster also. Now planning on NLB implementation, like designing application and storage support for NLB. We can, each node in an NLB cluster should have the same configuration. So for when you are planning for the NLB clusters, then you should configure you should use the same configuration for each node. Then each node needs the access to the same consistent application data. Now whatever you are configuring the application, for example the web service or any other service, they should have the access of the same data. And for that, if we use the shared data, it is a good idea. I have not used the shared data, but use the IIS shared configuration to ensure the web application configuration is consistent across the NLB nodes. So all the nodes must have the same configuration. We change the configuration so that we can see the difference. Then use the CSV, cluster storage volumes, to host shared application and configuration data for NLB application. So in this way, we can use the data, we can store the data into the shared storage or the cluster shared volume, so that whenever the application moves from one server to other server, it will not see the difference. Users will not notice the difference, and all the servers nodes will have the data, the application data will be same. NLB hosts do not typically need local storage redundancy. It does not need the local storage redundancy, but in this it is on us that if we want the redundancy or not. Then consideration for deploying an NLB cluster on virtual machine. Now for configuring virtual machine with multiple network adapter. Now if suppose we want to use the virtual machine as a cluster node, as a NLB cluster node, then we should configure the virtual machine with multiple network adapters, configure one network adapter on each node member to use a shared private network switch, and configure the NLB cluster to use the unicast mode and enable MAC address spoofing on the Hyper-V host. Then use this shared private network switch for cluster communication. Then use the network virtualization to separate the cluster network when NLB nodes span multiple sites. Consideration for securing NLB: use NLB cluster port rules to discard traffic not related to the cluster application. That's what we have done. We have discarded all the traffic which we don't want and which we don't want to have on the cluster. Then use the firewall rules to drop traffic not related to cluster application or load management. So make the firewall rules to drop all the traffic which is not for your cluster application. Then configure application to respond only to the traffic that is addressed to the cluster. So when we configure any application on the cluster, so we should configure the application to accept only the request from the IP address of cluster. Then use the SANs to create certificate that support the application name and node names. To secure our web services, we should use the cluster certificate services, and that certificates, when we configure, we should configure based on the application name or node names. Implement the principle of least privilege, so only authorized users have permission on nodes, and that we can do by using the privilege access management to implement the just-in-time administration. To manage the privileged users, like only privileged user will get the access, others will not get the access. Considering for scaling NLB, that means scaling from one side to other side. NLB cluster can have up to 32 nodes. So all the cluster, in a cluster we can add only 32 nodes. That you have seen on the preference priority number. You see the priority numbers was from 1 to 32. That means we can add only 32 nodes in our NLB cluster. We should use the DNS round robin in distributed traffic between NLB clusters. For example, when we divide the cluster from different sites, like cluster in Sydney, cluster in Melbourne, Canberra, so we should use the DNS round robin. We configure the DNS to send the request from different sites. Like if the user trying to access, the client trying to access from the Brisbane, so the request will go to first the DNS to resolve the name and IP address. Now DNS we will configure to send the request to round robin basis. So in the DNS we have the record for this Sydney also, Melbourne and Canberra also. So we can decide that which request will go to, first request will go to round robin, that means the first request will go to Sydney, second request will go to Melbourne, and third request will go to Canberra. So when the client wants to access the name of the cluster service application, then it will go to the DNS server, and DNS server will give the IP address based on the round robin. So first request will get the IP address of Sydney, then it will get the Melbourne, then it will get the IP address of Canberra. So client in the Sydney, now if the client is accessing from the same site, then it will go directly to that particular site. If the client is accessing from the other side, so it will get by the round robin basis. Consideration for upgrading NLB cluster is, now NLB cluster can run with different operating system. That means if you have one node as server 2012, we can have the server, when we configure the cluster on server 2012 R2 NLB cluster, it can interoperate with server 2008 8R2, server 2012 and server 2012 R2. That means in the cluster we can have a nodes which is server 2008 8R2, 2012 or 2012 R2 either. But when we want to upgrade them to server 2016, so we can add the Windows Server 2016 first into the cluster, then remove the nodes running earlier operating system. So suppose we have two servers, one have server 2012, both are server 2012. So first what we will do, we will add the third one as server 2016. Then one by one we will remove the other servers. Like one server 2012 I will remove from the cluster, then I will upgrade that server and then add it back to the cluster. Then the other server 2012 machine I will remove, then upgrade it, and then I will add it into the cluster. So what the upgrade cluster do, first remove the node from the NLB cluster, then upgrade to Windows Server 2012 and then rejoin the node to the cluster. So we can remove the node from the cluster very easily. So if suppose this server is server 2012, I want to upgrade it, so I will do what? I will remove it. I will say delete the host, or I can remove it from here. We can say first to stop or drain stop, it will remove all the services from there, and then I can remove the host. And then I can start the cluster, or I can remove it from running cluster also. Now I started the cluster, or I can remove the cluster from the running host. Now I want to add the host when it is upgraded, so I will go and add the host server 2. with the same way. So very easy, you can add and you can remove the host. So first you remove the host from the cluster, upgrade the host, and then you can add back into the cluster. So if you don't want to stop the cluster, then what you will do, you will right click on the host and drain stop the host, and then you can remove it from the cluster, same as what we did previously. So, and by that way we can upgrade the clusters. If we are using the cluster on previous versions, we can upgrade back to Windows Server 2016. So this is our NLB cluster. It is for the web-based application and do what? It do the load balancing, and it also provide the failover. So if one server is not able to handle the traffic, it will the next server will respond for the traffic. So all the servers are online and all the servers are handling the traffic, and it handles based on the load. And this is our NLB cluster.